That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Informing and entertaining you to the best of our ability. This is Anthony with So You Think You Know Hip Hop and the industry's secret of the mystery man behind it.
DONNELLY Media.
Join corner where the big boys play.
Hey man, what's up? It's Anthony here. And so if you find yourself at a party and someone's there that claims they know hip-hop, right? Well, you can pull this one right out of the bag and show them one of the greatest hip-hop party tricks you've ever shown anyone in their fucking life. Now, what would the trick be? Of course, would be who's one of the original musicians behind an awful lot of the music and the birth and the evolution of rap and hip-hop, and you wouldn't believe who it is either. Now, I'm from the era that was there from the beginning of rap and hip-hop.
Hello, I'm Roger Lynn, and this is the MPC-60 MIDI Production Center.
Exposed to it, watched it grow from the inner city New York to end up in every other major city across the globe at a very young age. But I never thought for one moment that I ever had to second guess who played a huge part in starting it all. Now, it wasn't until about roughly, about 4 years ago, I was in the middle of a deep listening wormhole session, right? You know the one. And I ended up in the funk jazz wormhole, right? Then out of nowhere, this track started. And I recognized the first couple of parts of it immediately. It sounded awfully familiar. And I go, damn, what's that sound, right? And then within seconds, I realized it was from Run DMC, the track called Peter Piper. Or at least that's the impression I was under, right? Now, those are those exact moments in music when you hear something, you realize it's a sample. You got to find out who the fuck it is immediately. And who was it? It was Bob James.
James. Mid 80s, early 90s is where I got introduced to you in the most unconventional of ways, reading the credits to Peter Piper by Run DMC. When I saw that, I saw contained samples of Take Me to the Mardi Gras, performed by Bob James. How did you feel about hip hop when we first started to sample your music?
Well, I guess I could say I've been through a lot of variations of feelings about it.
Right.
When I first began to discover it, it was not exactly a positive thing because the times that I found out that my music had been sampled, it was not licensed.
Right.
There was a recording by DJ Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Yo, I got a message for my fans and friends. The last album was dope, y'all, and here we go again.
Now, the deeper I dug, I hit the final rock that turned over and ended up shining the light on how jazz master Bob James was actually the unspoken industry secret, one of the Godfathers, and unarguably in the backdrop of the majority of the hip-hop songs that you know. So your next question is going to be, well, who the fuck is Bob James, right?
Young, 4 years old, playing the piano, and played all the way through high school. Went to college in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the University of Michigan, and that's when I first started playing gigs professionally. Dance gigs, some jazz club gigs, and stuff like that.
We have, and I dare to say that we have your entire collection. Everything from what you did for Taxi, to all the way down to Westchester Lady, to Tappan Zee, to everything. I asked the president of my label, I said, who will we put on the Mount Rushmore of people that we sampled? And first name that came up was James Brown. But then it's a very hard and serious argument that you're probably right behind him. Because just off Nautilus alone, how many times I've heard Nautilus in so many songs. Thank you for what you've done for our culture, because we stand on the shoulders of you. Hate it.
I just got to say, while you were describing all that, I was tears were coming up from just the emotion of me still not being able to understand it. As a piano player,
Now, Now, throughout the 70s, he found himself working on various solo albums, collaborations, soundtracks for film and TV, building his catalog with his stylized take on smooth jazz. He was a jazz master, a fantastic composer, and certainly recognized as one of the greats. However, he did not anticipate his music would be catching the ears of so many hip-hop artists at a time when the culture was steady, maturing, and just about to explode. Now, the majority of the artists in the hip-hop industry all agree on the same thing. There is a huge, extremely large portion of hip-hop that's all owed to Bob James. Your Run DMCs, Gangster, Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, Main Source, Slick Rick, the list just goes on and on and on. Now, to play all those artists would take quite some time. There's over 1,650 songs out there with samples of his, and 79 covers and 3 remixes. So let's just take a look at a couple.
Original Bob James.
And now the remix.
Original Bob James. And now the remix.
Mount up. It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets.
Now the plot thickens. There was another track that came out of Bob James that was not only defining, but pretty much the part of the origin of the hip-hop beat.
I think Nautilus has been sampled so much because of the groove. Yes, my little hook, but the groove, that's the magic. I recorded this little vamp thing that I had come up with because I was always looking for a cool bass line for Gary King, my bass player, to play. The sample world deals with short chunks that have their own rhythm and can be repeated. That was definitely an aspect of my recording of Take Me to the Mardi Gras. The intro, we were only just establishing an immediate mood, an immediate vibe, an immediate identity, and apparently we did a good job of it. But almost at the same time, there was a recording that I was very much involved with by Grover Washington Jr. called Mr. Magic. Angela became iconic mostly because of the success of Taxi.
Now, in 1974, Bob James released the studio album One. Now, the album's closing track is Nautilus. Now, this track alone, Ghostface Killah, Nas, Miss Elliott, Slick Rick, Freddie Gibbs, and hundreds of others have actually sampled this song. Now, together, we're going to listen, and I'm going to show you what's considered the origin of one of the hip-hop beats, and certainly one that mattered. Now, the drum pattern we're going to isolate down, and when you hear it, if it comes around the 3:30 mark, it's coming. It's coming. And here it is. And that would have been the beat that gave the birth to an entire generation. Bob James, Nautilus. Now, if you made it this far, then you're a fan of hip-hop. So I got great news for you. Our Blackbird DJ SUDEEP has been doing brilliant on the Mixcloud Global Charts, weaving in and out of different genres with his Alt Vibes program. Now, this week, this mix has already taken number 3 on the Alternative Dance, taking the first place for the Britpop category, and coming in at 3rd for Post-Punk. The crate he's digging out of has been inspired by the Wu-Tang America Saga TV show. Check out this week's new edition of Alt Vibes. Just hit up blackdonnellymedia.com and click the Listen Live button, or simply find the link in the video credits below. For Black Donnelly Media, I'm Anthony, and may good juju find you, my friend.